All right, if you're working with AI in 2026, I've got some news for you. The playbook for prompt engineering has completely changed. Seriously, your old methods are probably costing you more than you think, so today we're diving into the essential new strategy guide.
So let me just ask you this straight up. Are your AI prompts obsolete? Because if you're still leaning on those same handful of patterns that worked wonders back in 2023, the answer is almost certainly yes. The entire game has shifted, and what used to be best practice is now, believe it or not, holding you back.
And when I say holding you back, I'm talking about real money. A poorly structured prompt today, one that uses an outdated technique, can easily cost you 3 to 5 times more than a well-structured one for the exact same result.
You know, this isn't about just getting slightly better answers anymore. We're talking about a critical issue of inefficiency and, frankly, wasted resources. So today, we're going to solve that. We're going to look at what actually works right now.
Okay, so why? Why are those trusty old prompts suddenly failing you? Well, it really boils down to two huge, fundamental shifts, one in the AI models themselves and the other in how companies are billing you for them.
Think back to 2023. The models were, well, pretty forgiving, and the billing was straightforward. You paid for the tokens you put in and the tokens you got out. Simple. But now, in 2026, we are deep in the frontier model era. These models are incredibly powerful reasoners, and the billing, well, the billing now includes something called extended thinking tokens. These are the invisible computations the AI does before it even starts writing an answer, and guess what? You're paying for every single one.
Okay, enough doom and gloom about the problem. Let's get to the good stuff, the solutions. We're going to focus exclusively on what I'm calling the S-tier techniques. These are the absolute best, highest performing strategies for 2026.
First up on our S-tier playbook, chain of symbol, or COS for short. The core idea here is incredibly smart. You remove ambiguity before the model wastes any of those expensive thinking tokens on it. So instead of describing a complex process with words, you encode it into a super simple, precise symbolic notation. And just look at the difference this makes. The old way, it's wordy, it's kind of clunky, and it's wide open for misinterpretation. But the chain of symbol way, bam, it is crystal clear. The model instantly gets the dependency, which means you get way more accurate and consistent results, especially for things like planning.
So when do you pull this tool out? It is an absolute beast for anything with dependencies or logical flows. Think logistics, project plans, complex workflows. But hey, don't try to write your next novel with it. That rigid structure that makes it so great for logic will just stifle creativity and tone.
Next up, and this one's a big one, is DSPy 3.0. I want you to think of this as a prompt compiler. Instead of spending hours handcrafting the perfect prompt for a task you do all the time, you just give DSPy a description of what you want and a few examples. It then goes to work automatically generating and testing prompts to find the absolute most efficient one.
And here is the magic phrase. Don't rewrite, recompile. This is the core benefit. Think about it. When a new, better AI model drops, all your carefully hand-tuned prompts might suddenly break or become inefficient. With DSP, you don't rewrite them, you just recompile them for the new model. That saves a massive amount of time and effort.
The rule of thumb here is really simple. If you're running a task hundreds, maybe thousands of times in a production system, the initial setup time for DSPy is a no-brainer. It will absolutely pay for itself. But, for a quick one-off question, nah, just stick to manual prompting.
Our final S-tier technique is honestly the biggest secret weapon that most people are just completely missing. It's the Reasoning Effort API. This is literally a parameter, a little knob you can turn that lets you tell the model exactly how much of that hidden thinking it should do. It gives you direct control over that balance between cost and performance.
And this is exactly how you should be thinking about it. It is not one size fits all. For super simple stuff like pulling a name out of a block of text, set the effort to low. Save your money. For standard writing, medium is probably your sweet spot. But for the really tough nuts to crack, like debugging code or complex math, cranking that effort up to high will give you way better results. The biggest mistake is just leaving this on the default setting for everything.
So you might be wondering, okay, but how much does this really matter? Well, how does 34% sound? Because in a real-world audit, just by matching the reasoning effort to the task, one team reduced their total token spending by 34%, with zero drop in quality on the simple tasks and a huge improvement on the complex ones.
Okay, so we've got these 3 killer S-tier techniques: chain of symbol, DSPy, and the reasoning_effort API. But how do you pick?
Which one do you use and when? Well, I'm going to give you a dead simple 3-question framework to make the right call every single time.
First question, and you got to be honest with yourself here. What does failure actually cost? If a bad output is just a minor annoyance, fine. Use a cheap and simple method. But if a bad output creates a real business problem, that's your signal to invest in the more robust, high-accuracy techniques.
Question 2, and this is all about scale. How many times is this prompt going to run? If it's a one-and-done thing, a quick manual prompt is totally fine. But if this thing is going to run hundreds of times a day, every day, that upfront investment in something like DSPy is going to pay for itself in no time.
And finally, question number 3, and this might just be the most important one of all. Can you clearly define what a correct or a successful output actually looks like? Because if you can't, you have no way to properly evaluate any advanced technique. Defining success is always the first step. So when you put all of this together, what does it really mean? Well, it signals a massive shift in how we need to think about this work. Prompting is maturing. It's growing up from a creative art into a rigorous engineering discipline.
And this quote just nails it, doesn't it? We are officially moving beyond the hunt for magic phrases. We're now in a world of cost models, of accuracy metrics, and of systematic, repeatable optimization.
So what does your new workflow look like starting tomorrow? It's simple. Just 3 steps. 1. You have to start measuring the cost and the quality of your prompts. What you don't measure, you can't improve. 2. Use that 3-question framework we just talked about to pick the right tool for the job. And 3. Start treating your library of prompts like you would treat a software code base, with version control, testing, and documentation.
I'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. Go look at your own work, your own systems. I guarantee there's one high-volume, frequently used prompt that is secretly costing you a fortune in those hidden thinking tokens and just plain inefficiency. Go find it. Fixing that one prompt is the best place you could possibly start.